welcome. Over the Top Podcast. It's your boy HD of the Over the Top Podcast crew. Hey guys, thank you. I didn't want to take the time out again. I know I do it very often, but I can't thank you guys enough for listening to us on WDJY 99.1 FM. Also, checking out our Facebook page. We're getting a lot of Astorias coming in. We just get a lot of stuff coming in, guys, and we definitely appreciate what you're doing, and thank you for the support. Let's introduce our panel. RJ, what's the deal, baby?
What's going on, Mr. Dawkins? How you doing?
Oh man, loving life. We also got Toya. I'm gonna get you second today, Toya. What's going on, T?
Trying to catch me off guard, yo.
That's right. Keep you on your toes. Got to keep you on your toes. What's going on with you?
I'm good. Hello, fellas.
Good stuff. Q, what's the deal, baby?
This has something to do with the Astoria, and we'll get to it. But man, Colorado took a beating this weekend, didn't they?
Sir.
The state of Colorado, though.
It was a rough week for the Coloradians. It was a rough. And the Playmaker G, what's the deal, man?
Hey man, how y'all doing?
What's going on with you? I see you. You looking. I see your stuff connecting there. I'm seeing your biz. Is that something new you working on, or this new?
It's more of a mature look as I embrace my late 30s.
There you go.
Hey, the radio listeners don't know what you're talking about right now.
Didn't you say his late 30s?
The late 30s, really?
Bruh.
Good stuff. Toya, let's keep it push. What you got on deck?
Okay. We have Toya. Dear Toya, I watched the Over the Top Podcast Sports Live Thursday night as you watched your Giants take the L to my San Francisco 49ers. That was hate. I enjoyed the live. Didn't know you guys had a sports show too. My question is about Colorado. After watching them play against Oregon, do you think it's over for them? All the hype has finally slowed down. Next week, they take on USC. How do you guys think that game is going to go? It seems Black folk have come together to cheer on a team that's lost their fire. Can't wait to hear your response and want you all to know I truly enjoy your show. Keep up the amazing work, Joe. Joe's a hater.
Good bit. So allow us to get all the haters out the room early. Q, what's the thought? What's the thought, Q?
First off, come to me because I am the Oregon fan here. So yeah, I was cheering for Oregon. Colorado can win the rest of their games. I don't care. But when you come up to Eugene, and mind you, and they stop it, they step it on the logos, scraping all that. Don't be mad when we put 42 on your head. Don't be mad. Now, to bring it back now,
please.
To say it's over for them. No, they're still going to win a bowl game. Are they going to lose next week? Probably. That's USC. That's Caleb Williams. Are they going to lose to Utah? Probably. I don't know if they play Washington. They may lose them too. But they're going to win a bowl game. They're not going to just lose out the rest of the season. And also, to any racist who jumping on the Oregon bandwagon saying, "Oh, I'm glad Colorado got me." No, stay over there. Stop giving us a bad name because you don't like Deion.
Hey, so I feel your enthusiasm, but let's say it's over there for the sports show, sir. But I do feel your enthusiasm. Playmaker, what's the deal? Think your thoughts?
So I got a couple of quick things, and I'll be brief. The first, love what Deion has done. I think that he is just by the games that he's won up to date, he has turned that program around and turned that city around and even put a spark in college football. So congratulations to Deion. I think they will continue to have some success. I think no one thought that they were going to win a championship his first year there. So that's the positive. The negative is not to throw any shade on Dion or Colorado, but he's not the only black head coach in college football. And I just wish that some of the support would be spread it around to some of the other coaches
I
that are
like
doing things out there.
Facts.
I like Penn.
All right,
I've been
Jay,
watching
your
Penn.
thoughts.
Um, I put this as a part of like a post that I seen on Dion, and I put it out there to the public. And what I essentially said was, if you take up a team that's won one game, if you have that much turnover on a roster in your first year, there's not any continuity to that whole deal that you're doing. So the fact that he beat the national championship runner up the first game is awesome. The fact that he came back, he came back and beat more established programs that quickly is a beautiful thing. I think we spend more time focusing on the negative aspects of what people do than the positive. He should lose to a top 10, top 15 program because they're more established. They have more bodies, period, point blank. Colorado doesn't. Dion is a novelty to a lot of people in that space. So the fact that he's been able to be as successful as he's done, that's awesome. And second, there is a lot of hate coming from our community, which is concerning to me. Third, and most important, like Gary said, I feel like we should be more supportive of some of the other African American coaches, and realize that they are tasked with an almost impossible duty because they get a lot of bad jobs or they get functional opportunities to be a truly teacher. Yeah, I'm going to shout Dion out. I think he's doing an excellent job. He's right. He said it. Y'all better get him now because maybe about a year and a half, 2 years, it's going to be Katie bought the door. That's me.
So I find it interesting. I find it interesting after the first loss we even asked. Well, no, I don't find it interesting. So I was watching another sports show, and and here's what it is. I don't agree with everything he said, but yeah, he said something called the prime effect. And what the prime effect does that okay, here this coach. This is his fourth game at a Power Five school, not 4 years, not 2 years. This is fourth game at a Power Five school. He lost one game, and now we ready to throw him out with the trash. No, 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 no. So the good thing for the loss is it erased all the casual fans out the way, which I don't know the Cavalier fans, but as a football coach and what he's doing, I just think he just beginning. I think the foundation gonna be laid down. I don't even, I believe, but I don't think he gonna. I didn't think he'll win the national championship. If he don't win another game, hell, he took a 1-11 team and won 3 games, so he done double triple his score from last year. Plus, he's building a foundation. Plus, he feeling about it. But so I think we're a little early to judge. Give him a couple of seasons of the build, the build where he needed to build. Give him the same space that we give our other coaches, our other counterpart, the other coaches out there to build a program. Although he built it through the NIL, he's still building the program. And I agree with Ron and Gary. His other black head coaches, but Dion bring the cachet with him. And he gonna talk, but what you gotta understand is that's all that is cachet. The real work is being done Monday through Friday on that football field. And trust me, he's definitely putting in work on that. And he's developing young men, and he's developing good black young men to be citizens. So hey, if you're a bandwagon jumper, you're gonna jump off. If you believe that what he's doing is gonna be beneficial, not to Colorado, who by the way made $18 million last weekend. They ain't never seen that money come through there like that. So what he's doing is very unprecedented. So you're gonna be some ups and downs, but what he's doing is very unprecedented. And yes, I still believe, and I'm still in. What's up?
Yeah, I was gonna say, you kind of said it perfectly. Like, this loss is actually good for them because it gets all the casuals and bandwagons and people just there to be there out the way. Now you after a loss, which honestly, it was a loss that if you know college football, you knew going into that game, Colorado was going to lose that game. Probably
You know,
not by as much as they did lose, but you had to feel they're going to lose that game because of what Oregon is. So that gets all the bandwagons, all the casuals out the way, and now they can actually build a core fan base of who's going to be here after some adversity.
Check this out though.
Which
There's
that
levels
is
to
going
this.
to be important, and also it gives something playing adversity. That it shows levels, and it shows if they're players, how the players going to bounce back from adversity. How is Shador going to bounce back from basically getting shut out the whole game into the last 2 minutes? How's that offense going to? How's the defensive line going to bounce back? How now it's time to see. Now that helps build character. That's what that was a character. That was a plot point. For all my Spider-Man people, that was a canon event that had to happen so they could move forward.
Toya.
So my thing is that a lot of people are on the coach and not the players. So they're upset with the coach and not the players, or the other coaches are. The teams are fighting the coach just by what they're saying and things like that, and not the players, because it's Deion. First of all, y'all don't have what he has. And I'm going to tell you this. When Deion played, I could not stand him. But I can't. It's just like when Kobe played. I could not stand Kobe. But there's no way I'm not going to say Kobe was one of the best of all time. That's ridiculous. I would be stupid. There's no way that I'm not going to say this Hall of Fame football player wasn't one of the best to do it. He is who he is. He's always been flashy since he was at Florida. That's his thing. And y'all are upset with his cockiness. The thing I tell Zoe every day when she gets out the car, and Zora, be black, be confident, be cocky, be bold, be your beautiful, awkward selves. That's our problem. It was a post this morning that I watched, and I went through and read the comments, and black guy said, I'm a good black person, but I don't too much. It's tough to get behind Deion's arrogance. It's tough to get behind. This has finally humbled him. The problem is some of y'all need to be more arrogant. That's why we ain't winning. That's why we can't win as a people, because y'all too busy being foolish. But I also knew that college football is what it is. We knew he wasn't going to win this game. We know he probably won't win next week. It's USC. Come on. When you going against them Pac-12 teams that are good, stop playing. That's just the reality of the sport. And I do like Penn. I like Penn. I'm watching Penn. So.
Oh, by the way, he did say the magic words. You better get me 9.
So the other thing I want to say is when that transfer portal opens up.
That's right. That's
y'all
right.
watch
That's right.
Hey, I want y'all to ask yourself this question, though. I want y'all to ask yourself this question. If Oregon went up against Alabama and Auburn 2 and 3 years ago, the last 2 corresponding years, and it was a whole nother level that they couldn't get to, that's how good they have to be to even compete with Oregon at that time, because Oregon couldn't compete with Alabama or Georgia or one of those other teams.
That's right.
So if you really processing that, and that's a whole nother level of strength, and like what he said, he's probably 9 to 10 players away from being there, and a lot of people are not playing freshmen, so we'll see. It'll be interesting next year.
And for the Oregon coach, I'm gonna leave this my last word. I'm definitely alone, but I gotta get for the Oregon coach.
Hey, not too much of my coach.
What he said, he do this for lights. Saying we don't do this for lights and tags. We do this for play the game. Dude, Oregon got 3,000 different uniforms. They ain't wore the same uniform in 20 years.
And that got NIL too.
Come on now. So I'm not saying I don't mind. I don't mind you pumping your team up. But let's not be hypocritical.
Again, that's the coach playing the coach. That's not the players playing the players.
But okay.
You hype your players up. That's what you do. I'm not knocking them, but you going against the coach, not the
he's
players.
He's doing it for the lights and tags too.
And his
No,
play
He a
is
black
not NIL
ass too.
deals. Anyway,
No, you
thank you
ain't.
for
Last
the
word
question,
for
You
it.
Joe.
ain't.
You are a hater. You are a hater, Joe. No one cares about your 49ers. They're whack. And
Oh
if
wow.
you guys have any more questions, please hit me up at AskToya, TOIA74@gmail.com. Ask Toya on Facebook. Now, on Over the Top on Facebook, we have a Facebook page. Yay! Please like and subscribe. Thank you so much.
Thank you for the ask told you. Let's get it. Let's keep it pushing, guys. According to the
Wait,
U.S. Center,
real quick. I just
Please
want to say subscribe to the Overtime Sports YouTube channel.
subscribe to the Over the Top Sports YouTube channel.
Thank you.
hard though, boy. It's hard to put us on work, boy. It's hard, boy. According to the U.S. Center on Disease and Control Prevention, race among black youth aged between 10 and 24 rose 33.6% from 2018 to 2021, which was the largest percentage jump in any Democratic era, in any demographic. Excuse me. In 2020, suicide was the leading cause of death for black girls ages 12 to 14, as said by Ariel Sheftal, which is an associate professor of psychiatry at the University of Rochester Medicine Center in New York. According to the Suicide Prevention Resource Center, in 2023, suicide rates in black males from 10 to 19 years old increased by 60%. Early adolescent black youth are twice as likely to die by suicide as compared to their white counterparts. Further, these deaths are often misidentified and recorded as drug overdoses. Black Americans are also less likely to have access to mental health care than the general population. Playmaker, I'm gonna start with you first. Why do you feel that these numbers are increasing?
Okay, a couple of quick things. First is when you look at 2019, you got the COVID year, so that kind of really throws some of the numbers off. But one of the things we'll talk about a little bit later is discrimination and social media. But before we get to that, I wanted to kind of throw in a couple of other interesting things that I saw when I was researching this piece. And one is religion and gender roles. So as we have people trying to conform to a certain religion. That puts different pressure and things on people. Then with this whole gender fluid and gender confusion, that adds additional stress to a lot of our young kids. And then another interesting fact I came across was sexual dating violence. And when you compile all of that, it's these are some of the things that adding anxiety, depression, and stress to our young people.
Good point. Q, I'm gonna come your way. What pressure do you feel teens are faced that leads them down this path?
Really, everything Playmaker just said. Dealing with social media, um, especially teenagers when your hormones are insane, and then trying to figure out who you are. You're trying to figure out who you are as a person. Some trying to figure out what their gender is. Some trying to figure out what their gender role is. Um, Religion, whether it's pressure, and it's pressure that's being put on them from, especially if you're black, pressure put on you from society, maybe pressure put on you from your parents, pressure put on you from your friends. When there's a whole lot, people put a whole lot of pressure and expectations on teenagers who've only been on the planet for anywhere from 13 to 17 years, and expect them not to crack under that pressure. So yeah,
Okay.
that's the issue.
Okay. RJ, do you feel that the author is correct when she suggests that black boys are under more attacks than black girls when it comes to suicide? You might
Me or Toya?
Yeah, I had to
run.
unmute. I'm sorry, I apologize. Um, I had to reflect on that for a second, man, because a lot of times we do trainings and stuff like that in mental health. And one of the things that I know from many trainings I've been through is that males are more successful at killing themselves than women. The stats bear it out. And which when that question is asked and it identifies that with boys being more successful and then not necessarily being a crowd for help, our African American boys are under attack. They're tasked with surviving in a world that's hostile to them. And if you don't have the right type of mindset or the mind frame, you're not going to be able to survive it. Considering that, and this is one of the things they teach us in mental health, external pressures, which are the pressures that we cannot see, but we feel when we step out of our door, and the internal pressures that take place within inside our lives, inside the people that we deal with. Those volumes of pressure, sometimes based upon life or circumstance, turn up really high. And our inability to navigate those situations or those circumstances are part of the reason why young boys end up harming themselves more than the young ladies, or their, I hate to say, their attempts are more successful. But that's a true.
Good stuff. Good information. Good information. Told you, do you believe that there is a link to how when we raise our children when it comes to the suicide issue?
Yes. So adverse experiences growing up, domestic violence, financial hardships on the family. Those are all things that relate. And then discrimination, like G said. So discrimination, studies suggest that feeling discriminated against can occur as young as 6 years old in African Americans and in Black adolescents. It's something that they experience more than often, 3 times more likely to have suicidal thoughts because of the color of their skin. So that's a big thing that they have to deal with.
Okay. Recent study found.
Can I say something? Can I say something real quick?
Go ahead.
You know, it's interesting that you say that, man. My daughter went through a situation where she was in a school. I'm not going to name the school, but it was a program where they teach kids how to play violin and various different instruments. And my daughter is at 2-3 years old being called a monster because she's a Black girl with different types of hair. And that's one of the more profound things that ever happened to me, because they kept making it seem like my daughter Jay was the bad person,
the aggressor.
And when they would say things to her that were really mean or nasty, Jay handled business. Now, I ain't saying she was right, but she was pounding them out. But the bad part about it was the teachers never really acknowledged the aspect of things or the impact that it had. And I'm dealing with it years later, like she's 7, 8, 9, 10, remembering that and reflecting on that. So please protect your children. Please be aware of the environments they're in, and please make sure that they're esteemed and that they're loved, so that they feel support when adversity comes.
Powerful point there, sir. Powerful point. So a recent study found that Black children experience or perceive racism and discrimination as young as 6 years of age. Both are known factors for suicide behaviors and thoughts among Black adolescents. And unfortunately, that is to trickle down to our younger Black youth, Ms. Sheftal said. On the Center for Disease Control and Prevention data shows that 14.9% of adolescents have been cyberbullied, and 13.6% of adolescents have made serious suicide attempts. Playman, I'm going back with you with this one. How do you feel that racism play in the increase of Black suicide?
So one of the things we see often with social media and the news is you see the Black life being devalued by seeing us being killed time and time again in the news and social media. You see the effect of homelessness in our communities based off redlining and things of that nature. So you see just the constant, like we said, even being experiencing racism as the age of 6, and having that just kind of continue on throughout your adolescence and your young years can build up and really lead to suicidal thoughts. And one of the things is the increase in guns in all communities, not just our communities, but just the increase in guns all around just creates a very negative situation.
Good stuff. I'm gonna go with you, Ron. I'm a little off script. Wish we have a little more time. I'm gonna play with the gun situation again. Not play with it, but I want to dive a little deeper into the gun situation because I know a lot of it. Yeah, and he's right. You remove the guns, you do remove the violence. But Ron, as our mental health professional, um, if guns wasn't available, do you think the mental, do you think the number still be high when it comes to youth suicides or anything like that? You remove that one particular device.
Yeah, they'll still probably be the same. One of the things that they really tell you, they ask you when you start processing aspects of the one to harm themselves or people in general, do they have a motive and do they have a plan? I might be saying motive wrong, but do they have a plan is essentially what you start asking children at that particular time or adults. And if they have a reasoning or a rationale and a plan, then you're dealing with the aspect of something that we're going to act upon. So you need to take that very seriously, and you need to call in a mental health professional, get the support that is needed to ensure that that person does, him or her does not harm themselves. And you have to assess that plan. Sometimes, it's kind of flimsy, but it's tough as a professional trying to judge that when you start talking to a kid or an adult. But you really have to be very careful in assessing it because one of the harsher things that happened to me, and it changed reality for me. I had a kid that I grew up with. Well, I didn't grow up with him, but he went to school down the street from me. But we went to this program called HAP, our achievement program. And his mother had brought him some Timberlands. And he wore those Timberlands for the whole year, and those Timberlands started to wear down. And they started to look really bad. And his mother was not necessarily as financially affluent. Man, people clowned him so much, man, and they talked about him so much that he hung himself over his shoe.
Mm.
And I never forgot that. And I remember him being at the store bragging on what shoes he had on. Man, these Timberlands. And back in the day, people used to wear them Timberlands. They used to wear Timberlands and British
Yep.
Knights.
Yep.
And wearing with your jeans. Yeah, y'all forgot. Yeah.
Dirty bucks, the dirty bucks,
Yeah, dirty bucks and stuff like that, right? But
dirty bucks.
when that happened, man, and I was in the 7th grade, and in my next door, my great grandmother's house, I had a friend. That was his mother, Anthony's mother, and the gentleman's mother were really good friends. And when that boy hurt himself, it just was devastating. We couldn't believe it. So please be aware and mindful when you start talking to young people about the impact of things that happen to them, because children's minds are not fully formed and they make irrational decisions.
So we talked a little bit about how suicide rates affect the young black males. Let me let's take the other side of it. So I'm coming with you. 'Cause I know you got little girls. How do the pressures of discrimination and the outside world and imaging and how do that affect your girls
My girls,
or any girls? I mean, just for
girls,
example,
period.
girls,
Little black
period.
girls, period.
Black
'Cause
girls, period. Yeah.
my girls are militant. Um, but other things affect them that we have to. I'm gonna tell you, I was in a doctor's office, and now when you go in for your wellness visit, they give you a form, and your child is supposed to, when your child goes into adolescence, your child is supposed to fill out this form. There was an older gentleman, so he had to be older than me if he just had late life babies like I did. And he had his two boys, and they were filling out the form. Now, I gave the form to Zoe and Zora because it's their business, it's for them. And the form asks, are you sad? You rate how you feel. And the teenage boy is rating how he feels. And the father looks at it and he says, You ain't never sad. Stop give me this form so I can fill it out. And I'm just like, I sat there and I thought, and I said, here's a problem. We're not listening to our kids. COVID did a thing to our kids. And so as Zoe was filling it out, of course she says she's sad. She has high anxiety. So sometimes, yes, she's sad. Sometimes she feels anxious. Sometimes, and these are things that we talk about. With girls, you dealing with hormones at an early age. Girls are starting their menstrual cycles at 8 years old now, as early as 8. And so you're dealing with social norms. With Black girls, you're seeing if they're on social media all the time, they're looking to look a certain way, of course. And it was the same way when we were growing up, because you have this white standard of beauty. So they deal with that. They get bullied a lot more. Because girls are mean in middle school. That's just how it is. They're going through puberty, they feeling themselves, they smelling themselves. There's mean girls. And so you have to deal with that. You have to deal with not being friends one day and then back to friends the next day. That's a lot. It's it's a lot. And so it's hard for some females to cope. And then you have your LGBTQ plus community. It's hard for our kids to talk to us about if they're feeling a certain way, because it's such a taboo conversation still to have. And that is where a lot of suicide comes in, because they can't relate to their parents. And if a girl is the average Black girl will be raped or sexually molested between the ages of 6 and 24. So I think it's one, I don't want to give the wrong numbers, but it's one out of a low number between 6 and 24. So females have to deal with a whole lot of things. And that's not saying boys don't. Boys have to deal with a lot of things too. But as far as protecting, listen to your kids. Just boys and girls, have conversations. These conversations are real. If I didn't have the conversation, I would have never known that my child had ADD and been walking around expecting high expectations when she can't focus at all. Right. And that's not fair. There's some ancestral curses that we literally have to break when it comes to talking to our children.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Key, I'm coming with you. So what factors, because you are a Gen X. I used to call them millennials, but I was wrong. So you are a Gen X. So you have a little more handle than we do. But what factors do you, Gen Z?
Gen Z. We're Gen X. We're Gen X.
I'm sorry, Gen Z.
Gen X. 20 years to my life. Jesus.
I understand. But anyway, you're in the generation where this matters, guys. I'm sorry. You one of them generations. We'll get it right. But I'm coming to you with this. So what factors do cyberbullying and social media have on the increase of Black suicide rates? Now for the public, before you answer, you can get a better detail. Go to our YouTube page and get out and definitely watch our podcast on cyberbullying. You could definitely go a little more in depth in that. But I know you probably won't go that in depth. But back to your question, how do you think they have affected our Black youth?
So first, I want to say about Toya, but about what Toya said previously about what the girls go through, and then compared to some of what guys go through. I'll say a big difference between what girls go through and guys go through is a lot of times as guys have an issue or boys have an issue, they're told to man up. And just like I said, no emotion at all. Like she told her where the boy said he was sad and dad said, well, no, you're not. Yeah, that's the big difference. At least in most situations, a girl can at least express her emotion where a boy can't. I say that to then transition into social media, where it's the same thing. If something happens to a boy on social media, or he tweets something out about how he's feeling, there's a good chance that a bunch of men are gonna be on there saying, "Oh, you're not this, you're not that," and then there's some women on there who say a bunch of stuff worse. And how that's being different is back in the day before social media was a big thing. If you had an issue with somebody, you usually only saw them at school, maybe in your neighborhood. That's it. Now it's getting taken online, and it's not just the people in your circle or people that you'll see every day. Now it's someone from across the country that was randomly scrolling, saw your tweet or saw something, and now they gotta add their 2 cents, and their 2 cents may not be positive, and that affects you. Then yeah, you can also say, oh well, they can just turn their phone off. They already saw it. Even if you turn your phone off after you've seen it, the damage is already done. They saw it; it's gonna be lingering, and then like I said, well, some boys they won't be able to go to anybody about it because for some reason we're still in the era of just man up and deal with it.
Get off the script, but me tell you, I'm gonna play what Quinn was saying. How parents. Hold on, before I do that, I want to make sure we're not overlapping the question. So when we tell children to man up and deal with, I know we growing up, our parents had a little more stronger, had that more stronger, stern tone of just deal with stuff and get over it. Do you think parenting has changed when we grew up to kind of have more open dialogue with their children to prevent this from happening?
Yeah, I think parenting changes slightly generation to generation. The same things that work for our grandparents are not the same things that are going to work for our grandkids. Society changes. Just there's too many just different factor changes. But I think the key thing is still having the right open, honest conversation. So yes, you can say, hey, you need to be a little bit more firm, but before you do that, kind of make sure that that's the only thing that's going on in the conversation, because it could be other things that are happening that you don't know, and it's just being masked. So if you want to say, hey, I think you want to be a little bit more for lack of a better word, man up. Make sure you understand what you're telling them to man up about, and not just put out a blank man up statement out there. I do think that there's some sensitivities out there that you have to be careful of. And I think you just need to have the open and honest conversation with your children and be transparent.
Good stuff. Hey, Ron, I'll come with you with this one. Do you think that does the negative stereotypes that society put on our black youth plays a factor in the increase of suicides?
The perception is reality for kids, man. And one of the things that I notice about little kids, man, or younger kids, they catastrophize. They will take something and they will make that mountain out of a molehill. And essentially what they do is they look at something, and one thing about being a young person, most things you do, it's going to be the first time. So everything that you do is going to be intense. And when it's done to you, it creates a level of inconsistencies within inside your mind, and a level of hurt and pain that you feel like may not never go away because you've never really experienced that at this point in time. And that's part of maturing and growing up as a human being. And a lot of these kids haven't done that. So when they get confronted with it, it's harder for them to navigate it. And they're also going to look for the easiest way out. I hate to say that. So to me, the larger inability for us to face our problems on a daily basis is a lack of accountability. And we have to get right down to the core of that. And
Okay.
that's how I feel.
Good stuff. So signs to watch for when in black youth when they're going through suicidal issues: withdrawn more than usual, mood change, anger, unable to express emotions, rather avoid school, sleeping more often, not interested in usual activities, change in music, watch out for the lyrics or different thing to listen to, schoolwork, have a difficulty in school and function like that, and doesn't have no interest in anything. Tori, I'm gonna go with you. I'm gonna go with you with this one. How important do you feel as a parent to actually um pay extra attention to the different things your children do, and stay a busy life for taking care of all the bills and everything else got to be taken care of. How do you as a parent strike that balance?
I am a helicopter mom. I am a helicopter. I'm not a good. Let me tell you something. And maybe it's because of what I went through to get them here. For me, so there's that anxiety. Uh, but I'm not even a good park mommy. Like I'm like, no, you take them to the park. What if they fall off the slide? Like I am that mom. So I am blessed. So I know a lot of parents don't have time. They work because you have to work to make sure your kids eat. I'm blessed to own my own business, make my own schedule, uh, be at everything they do, volunteer for everything, which I need to be still, but volunteer for everything, be active in school, PTA, SIT committee. Now I'm a booster mom for School of the Arts. I don't know how my mom did it, as in both my parents worked really hard, but my mom and my dad found a way to show up for three kids all the time. They made that time. They forced that time in, and they were probably tired as hell because I know I am tired as hell because I'm going in two different directions. But they forced that time. And so I'm just I'm emulating what I saw growing up. And for a lot of people, that is hard because they didn't see it growing up. And parents struggle. And it's not an easy task to try to maintain a balance. It's just something that you have to figure out on your own to do, because it's important. Like I said, COVID did something to these kids. A lot of kids are withdrawn. It has them back, education. It has everybody messed up in a little way. So it's just paying attention. And even if you don't have time, always try to make time to sit down every day when you get home and have that conversation. What happened in your day? Is there anything you want to talk to me about? What did you do in school? A lot of kids do not hear that. A lot of us did not hear that every day when they got home. The first question when my parents walked in the house was, what did you learn today? And you probably be like, I don't know. But it's still the fact that they made the effort to ask you that question. That is something I go through every class that they have now because they're having, multiple classes in middle school. What did you do in this class? What's the homework in this class? Although I can see the homework because now you got all these fancy things, devices, and it pops up on your phone. I still want them to tell me what the homework. So I know I'm having a conversation with my girls every day. And that even if it's just the simplest thing, knowing what they're going through day to day is more important than what shoes they wear or what you get. If I'm putting $200 sneakers on their feet, if I'm clothing them, I need to know if their mental is straight so that they can go out in this world and be. Yeah, my daughter's because I do. But but still, that's not as important as knowing that their mental is straight, that they're healthy and they're happy and they're getting along okay.
Good stuff. No, Playman, I'm going to do the same question. I know yours your situation is a little bit younger, but what's your plan as a parent to try to maintain that balance of work and dealing with your child? How do what's your game plan? How you look to attack that?
Well, I mean, I think Toya hit all the right all the right things. I think the thing is communication, having consistent, constant conversation. Toya mentioned that even though she knows what the homework assignment is, still have a conversation with it. So that means that every day they know that they're going to talk to mommy about every class, and that's an opportunity for Toya as a parent to hear something that may sound abnormal and pull that string, or an opportunity for them to share something. So I think the key thing is open, honest, consistent communication.
Good stuff. Q, come with you with this one. What role do teachers and other adults that deal with children play in noticing the signs of suicide and addressing it?
Uh, Arguably the biggest role, considering they see them the most throughout the day, sometimes throughout the week, depending on the parent's work schedule or interest in their child as a whole. So it's important to see if a student's okay, if there's any difference in their actions or their emotions, because some parents, like I said, if they're at work, they work during the day or work at night, so they don't see them, or like I said, they're just not interested, which both are sad, which is why it's important for teachers to see it.
Okay, okay, good stuff, good stuff. RJ, I was coming with you with this one. You ready? You still on with us? Okay. Piggyback for what Quinn was saying. What's your role? I know you're dealing with because you deal with children in the public and in your job, mental health. So I got two questions for you. One, what do you think your role is as mental health professionals when you go into house and you see signs of young youth of suicidal signs? What's your job and what's your reaction? And two, and you can bounce back over. What's the role the black men play when it comes down to our black boys and the suicide issue? So I want it's a two-part question, but I'll give you kind of
The first part, in all true honesty, is that one of the things that I do when I go into a home where I engage with a family is I look for baseline and I look for visual cues. Baseline is what they're typically at or how they effectively function on a consistent basis. And then when I look for visual cues, I see when the family is on and when they're off, or I can see whether the child is on and when that child is off. And one of the things that helps me kind of really manage like situations or crisis circumstances, really identifying when I first go into the home, I do a mental and a spiritual check when I go in there. And kind of it's almost like, I'm gonna come into your home and I'm gonna let my peace stay there. And if my peace rests there, then I'm gonna be fine. And they're gonna be fine. But if when I walk through that door and my peace is not afforded the opportunity to rest there, then I can tell that something is disturbed. And what I do is that I go into detective mode and then I start processing with the kid or speaking with the child and I start gathering information. At that point in time, I make an assessment as to whether how the serious nature of what they're saying or how 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 affected they are at that given time. And based on that, I make a central call. And the second part of the question, what did you give me
what's
the
the role of black men play when it comes down to our black boys and dealing with suicidal these type
you,
of issues?
you know what's really kind of odd? Succinctly, I think a lot of times, man, I hate to say this, but we come off as the bad guy as fathers. And a lot of times when you look at us, when we're trying to engage with our children, sometimes our children look at us as 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 we're the ruffians or we're the tough guys, but we have men have a standard. And what we have to do is work at teaching our children those standards. Now, the one thing about having relationships with children as well as peers, we have to learn how to bridge the gap. And I think we're doing it. I think fathers are doing an excellent job right now. I think they're doing a whole lot better than what you and I are, well, all three of us at some point in time as males on here dealt with. So identifying aspects of that, that's a beautiful thing. And one of the things that we purpose to do is to break that generational curse and to be present in our children's lives. So that in and of itself is powerful.
Playmaker, answer that question. What do you think the role as black men when you dealing with black youth males in this and their issue of suicidal thoughts? So what's your thoughts on that?
Can you repeat the question? I'm sorry.
So basically, the question is, what's the role of that black men play when it comes to our black youth males when dealing with suicidal thoughts and that issue? What role should we play? Not necessarily our children, but for when we saying your young black males out there, what roles
So,
should
so
we
I,
play?
I think one of the things that we need to do a better job of is taking an interest in the children that are not just our biological kids, but just kids in the community, and taking time to kind of just talk to them and not just have this surface conversation, but just kind of say, hey man, how you doing? How's school going? How's life going? What's and have real conversations and not just did you see the game last night and leave it at that. I think back in the day, that we were told that you couldn't have conversations with adults. You were just kind of, you were supposed to be seen and not heard, and supposed to lead a room and all of that. But I think with this generation, we need to be a little bit more intimate and have conversations and open communications and give them opportunities to express, so that if they are having some challenges and difficulties, we can see those signs and react.
Good stuff. Tori, you got last question of the night. How do you feel that we need to improve the self-esteem of our youth and kind of develop them to become productive, positive members of this society?
How do we wait a minute? Repeat that.
I
I'm sorry.
know it was a lot of words. Let me make it simple for you. How do we improve the self-esteem of our youth
Okay.
and produce positive adults? How about that? That's a
There
little
we
more.
go. I wanna piggyback off what Ron and G said first. I don't know if y'all been watching the shot, but they have on this season, they have the men's round table. And I don't know if that's what they call it, but it's a group of them, all the main characters sit down. And so they brought the young people in. And I think if men can sit down first and have the conversation about the struggles that they're having in life on a day-to-day as a group of men, that's a beautiful thing. And then realize that their struggles are also young men's struggles, especially Black men growing up in a certain type of environment, and sit around and have that conversation, and knowing that, and I know our parents didn't do that. We weren't, like you said, we were to be seen and not heard. But we're dealing with a different time and different generation, and they go through a lot more than we think they go through. As we went through a lot of things as we were growing up, I think sometimes we forget the things that we went through. And now it's a lot harder because everything is at the tip of their finger. They see everything. And that's a problem of a world that we created. And so if men can sit and be positive with each other, it would help so much more as to see that and emulate that with young boys too. Now, the question you asked, how do we build self-esteem? And that's you have to do that daily. I see teachers, and what Quentin said about the teachers, because teachers are the first people to notice everything that's going on in your child, because they're with your child more than you're with your child. And so I see Black male teachers, on the Instagram and the TikToks, on how they greet their children every morning when they come in. They all have a special clap. There's one that says, "Do you need a hug this morning?" Because the sad thing is that a lot of our children are not being hugged at all. And for a young Black teacher to say, "Do you need a hug this morning?" And these are teenage kids that he's doing this to. And a lot of the boys are saying, "Yeah, I need a hug." And he's giving them real hugs. And that in itself makes you want to weep for our boys, because are we so tough that we can't give our boys hugs? Or is it just the parents are unavailable to give that type of emotion? What, Ron?
No, it's not that. When men are truly vulnerable, their vulnerability is used against them. And it's very hard for us to effectively surrender ourselves to women and people in our circle. Like, Gary may have a conversation.
I'm talking about you giving your son a hug. My father,
we're gonna give
my brother on the forehead and hugged him every day. That was something that he made sure he did.
We're gonna give hugs, and we're gonna love on them. We're gonna do all those things. The real functional part of being able to be afforded to be vulnerable is not something that men are able to tap into. And I think that's something that we are not understanding in our culture. we are judged harshly when we have these moments. So that's a part of what you're dealing with some of these children who make these decisions to harm themselves because something may have happened that they felt like they couldn't come back from.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they didn't have the conversation with the person who was supposed to love them the most. And so to build that self-esteem up, I think the teachers are doing a good job. They're trying.
You know,
But
you
in
know,
the
the, the devil is the prince of the air, right?
huh?
You know, the devil is the prince of the air. He always sows confusion.
Ah,
So when you start thinking about aspects of things that, like, people's perception of how you will respond to a thing and the way you really will respond to a thing is two totally different things most times. You know what I'm saying? Go
Good,
ahead, Kyle.
good
go ahead,
stuff.
G.
We're gonna leave it. We're gonna leave that right there, guys. We're about to run out of airtime, but great conversation. We do love the kids. We do take care of your kids. If you see a kid out there struggling, grab them by the hand. You see the signs. It's not snitching. You're helping them. Talk to the parents, and remember, take a village to raise a child. Quickly, guys. Your last thoughts. We on the back end of, but we're gonna get it in. RJ, your last thoughts of the night.
Um, I had something happen, not necessarily in the vein of suicide, but the young man was very hurt by some things. He was vulnerable at a moment, and he was in a vulnerable moment, and he told his peers he was afraid, and they clowned him. And ever since that clowning, he didn't come back to practice. And so my concern ultimately is when we have moments where we struggle with things, can we afford to be vulnerable and can we have those real conversations sometimes with our peers and our mates?
Good stuff. Toy, your last word.
Talk to your kids. Listen to them. Not just talk, but listen. Open your ears and listen because you never know inside what they're going through. And like Ron said, there is a vulnerability that for some reason we're scared to touch. Let it go. Tap out. Heal.
Good stuff. Q, last word.
Uh, Last week I said that your child will 90% of the time wild out at college. This week I'm saying there's a good chance that your child is not mature enough to go to college. And then I'm gonna add on to it. There's a 50% chance it's your fault.
Facts. Facts. Playmaker.
Um, I'm gonna kind of piggyback on some of the other topics, but I think that as young as men, we need to share our testimony with kids so they can see that even though they may be going through a struggle, they can see that you've had that same struggle and you've navigated through that and come up on the positive ends of that. I think what we were saying earlier is that they see that as a roadblock that they can't get past or don't know how to navigate. But if you share with them that, hey, I've been through that. This is how it happened to me and how I got through that. Not to say that they're going to have the same experience, but at least they can see that their issue is not something brand new, that other people have gone through that.
Good stuff. And I'm gonna keep it brief, man. It's the little things in life that make the big difference. I know we want to make the big changes and the big splash, but guys, it's the little things in life, the little hellos, the little how you doing, the little hugs, the little stuff that makes the big difference. Hey guys, great show. And like always, man, your next move be the game changer. Peace.